we always want to see like whether these founders have a conviction in this idea, and also whether these founders got like a product founder fit as well. So for example, like the founders like more on the business side or on the operational side. But if this project involves like a huge AI computation technologies, or if it's like an FHE project, like a fully homographic encryption project. So even though the idea might be amazing, maybe it's a billion worth idea, but like could this founder really achieve it, right? Or is it supposed to be achieved by him?
Welcome to the ATX DAO podcast, the hub for exploring the forefront of blockchain technology in Austin's Web3 community. We connect you with innovators within ATX DAO and beyond as we venture into the world of decentralized technology. So crack open a beer and join us for a front row seat to learn about the innovations and trends shaping our digital future. This is the ATX DAO podcast. Welcome to the ATX DAO podcast. We are excited to welcome a guest today. We have Sky from J17 Capital. Sky, welcome to the show, man.
Hi everyone, thanks for the invitation, Luke and Ash. Really happy to be here.
Absolutely, yeah, glad to have you, man. So yeah, just wanted to start off by getting to know you a little bit better, just kind of how you're able to get into the space, and just a little bit about your background, and then we can talk a little bit more about J17 and what y'all do there as well.
Sure, awesome, yeah. So basically, before joining I'm the referee lead of the J17 Capital. So we're a Canadian crypto VC firm. So before joining the VC firm, I used to be a co-founding team of a SocialFi crypto trading platform, and we raised like 80 million from like Dragonfly, Hashi, Animoca. So basically, it's more like a eToro plus a bunch of like news, data, content. We want to use like this kind of information to track the trading activities from the retail users. So it's kind of a mix of between like DeFi and CeFi. Yeah. So, and also we more like we mainly target like Asia's users, like from Southeast Asia, Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Australia as well. Yeah. So I'm actually more coming from like a operator, or a builder, co-founder's background. And after that, then I joined J17 Capital. So it's a VC firm. So we invest like Web3 projects and founders. So on project side, then we're particularly bullish in a couple of like narrative and focus. So Bitcoin is definitely something that we're really bullish on. We invest in AI. We invest in some CK, scalability solutions, and recently more into Ton as well, the Telegram Ton. Yeah. So we're pretty like stage agnostic from pre-seed stage to like pre-TG round as well. And on the other side, we also invest funds. So we are the investor of around 25 funds in the space. We are the investor of like OneCakes, Coin Fund, Electric, ACNZ, HackVC, and a bunch of like Robot Ventures, a bunch of US funds and Asia funds as well. So I would say like we are very aggressive and proactive in the space. And yeah, do that. I mean, like feel free to text me, feel free to like Telegram me or ping me like in Twitter or Telegram if there's any like good projects coming in. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, no, and I had a chance to look at some of the portfolio that y'all have, and y'all have a pretty broad portfolio of things. A couple of them kind of jumped out as things that I'm familiar with. So I know like Rabbit is one of them, like with the AI that they have, like A16Z as being one that y'all have as well. So a lot of really cool stuff that you have. And I think one of the things that's particularly interesting about J17 is that you're not like you invest directly into some things, but you also, invest in other VCs as well. Can you maybe talk just a little bit about kind of how that dynamic works in terms of how you determine what to invest directly in versus like working with other partners and stuff?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a combination between fund investment and direct investment. So the rationale behind fund investment is actually about the strategic alliance and the strategic collaboration between other VCs. And it's honestly like crypto or blockchain itself, it feels like it's a shared collective economy, and it's like ecosystem as well. So for example, if we come across some like really good projects that we want to invest, we will always like invite some of our portfolio GPs to co-DD or like co-invest together or co-lead around together. So that's why, because different VCs will definitely have different edge and advantage, right? Some of them maybe like they're like technically strong in a particular like development area, or some of the VCs have like access to like some liquidity providers, or some VCs can access to like stronger like relationship with the exchange listing. or some of them are stronger in like KOL network or marketing as well. So we want to try to like try to like combine or try to like make a group of like strong VCs and to form around together to invest together. So and also at the same time make sure that each VCs have different value add and each VC is also our good friend so that we can like contribute and we can make sure the deal goes well together. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah, like I mean, like this is super interesting because like you're the first person to come on the podcast that is a fund of funds allocator, right? Like typically we've had people come in from the funding perspective of a project founder or someone who's working as core team or a VC who, a couple of VCs will be on later on this year. But like that being said, like you're a capital allocator to funds, which is kind of like, to be honest, like before I met you, I was like, I never even thought about the idea that there's a fund that allocates to other funds. I was like, maybe these guys just raise money from this, like the trees, like it just happens, which is not the case. I was just curious to see, like, what is like, what's your, like, funds write investment theses, right? And these investment theses have to align along, like what you said, with their strengths and weaknesses of what they offer to determine like whether they fund a project. In your case, I'm curious to see, what is your investment thesis or your criteria that you use to like allocate capital to a Web3 fund itself? I'm just curious, what does that framework look like?
Yeah, I think it really depends case by case because I think there are two types of LPs, I would say. The first type of LP, they are more like pure capital allocators, like for example, like a sovereignty fund or like a pension fund or like just purely fund of fund. So the only criteria that they have when they invest in like Web3 fund is just like the financial return, like how much you're gonna return to them, like how much DPI you're gonna return to them, like in 5 years, 10 years, right? Just purely financial return. But and there's another type of LP. Basically, they want not only financial return, but also the strategic relationship and also the bonding or like how the portfolio GP could help bring in the LPs to the right circle, bring into the industries, make sure that there's co-investment, make sure that like how can they like empower the LP to become a better like investor, right? So we belong to the second type. Definitely like we don't purely look for like good financial return fund, but also like the strategic bonding or collaboration between us and the fund managers. And yeah, so in terms of how the exact criteria when we try to pick the fund managers, I think definitely like a couple of first definitely brand awareness or the branding, right? Branding is something that something that like we can definitely leverage on, and also like a lot of LPs that care about as well. And the second one is definitely the relationship, right? Relationship meaning that how much attention that the GP is gonna like dedicate to you, right? For example, if I come across a product day, if I send to the portfolio GP to ask for the code, daily reference check, are they gonna spend some time on it, right? Or in case like if we want to, for example, if I talk to the GP saying that I wanted to like dedicate, I want to like get into the Telegram Ton ecosystems, right? Are they gonna spend time to really help me getting into the right circle, right? So it's about the GP relationship. It's about the attention or the awareness or the attention spent or the effort that the GP is gonna spend on the LP. Yeah, that's the second criteria, the relationship. The third one is definitely the financial return, right? Or the fund size, right? So theoretically, the bigger the fund size is, the potential return, the smaller upside the fund could potentially return, right? So we try to like reach the kind of like equilibrium of these three sectors. Try to find a fund that have a strong branding and but also relatively have a small fund size so that they can return a high return. At the same time, they can also um, uh, provide more like awareness or like they can like dedicate more time and effort to the LP as well. So that's the kind of trilemma that we were trying to like to solve, and we try to like we put a lot of effort on it. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, like, because it's interesting to see. Like, obviously, you look for like these things to try and see that like, you can kind of create these network effects, and it seems like you have this whole host of network effects that you're trying to prioritize to be like, hey, when we invest in a fund, we want to see all these other network effects. The money return on investment can be a secondary thing if we see considerable network effects around a brand about getting this message out and then seeing corollaries with other projects, which is interesting to think about because it's like I thought like this is kind of like, but in a way, I guess it's kind of like how a VC allocates capital to like in its portfolios, right? Its portcos want to see itself like building bridges between each other. But like now you're thinking about, oh, can I build bridges between each other and these funds into other funds itself, which is kind of crazy. It's like the meta game, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think at the end we try to be like win-win, right? We just, I mean, like at the end, if a project goes well, the a bunch of like all proceeds to seed round investors all win and win together with the founders. So it's not like if you end up like if you end up like getting if you end up winning this deal, you kind of beating down the other VCs. Yeah. So I think it's like at the end it's like a collective game. Yeah.
It's smart. Can you walk me through the diligence process then? Like, if we're narrowing down a little bit, like, what's your DD process like on, let's say, funding a project rather than funding a fund? Like, I know you said a lot of these things. Branding is one of those big things that you mentioned, but I'm just curious, like, is there like a checklist where you're like, dude, magically, if you hit these checklists, especially for other founders out there, I'm trying to get Luke to also be a founder as well. He's also an ex-TradFi Chad like I am. But I'm like, bro, like quit all that shit. Come be a degenerate by being a startup founder, right? And wreck your life, but in a good way, right?
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what is the cheat sheet? So in case Luke wants to go and be like, hey, we built this thing, Sky, do you want to fund this? What is the cheat sheet for him to get an allocation from you guys?
Yeah. So you mean like what's the core difference between the DD process between fund and project, right?
Yeah, what's your DD process for a project?
Project first. Okay. I think definitely a couple of criteria, right? The first one definitely we'll see the project founders because at the end of the day, I think like people are always the first priority because today you can working on for example, you can working on roll up as a service on the on EVM, right? And but tomorrow you can pivot into like a Bitcoin roll up as a service, right? So the narrative or the idea is always pivot, but the founders never pivot. So we always want to see like whether these founders have a conviction in this idea, and also whether these founders got a product founder fit as well. So for example, like the founders like more on the business side or on the operational side. But if this project involves like a huge AI computation technologies, or if it's like an FHE project, like a fully homographic encryption project, so how the founder could even though the idea might be amazing, maybe it's a billion worth idea, but like could this founder really achieve it, right? Or is it supposed to be achieved by him? So product founder fit founder is definitely the first thing that we will like heavily DD. Yeah. And then the second one is definitely the product itself or the market, right? So whether this product actually comes from the pain point itself. Because right now a lot of Web3 solutions always like a solution finds problem instead of like problem finds solutions, right? And also about if tomorrow this idea, if we take away Web3 elements, can it still run it, right? For example, like a Web3 I don't know, Web3 consumer payment reward system, for example, right? If you take away the Web3 token, right, you can still operate as usual as like a Web 2.0 systems, right? So there's not necessary to have like a Web3 elements into it, right? So we want to see like whether there's like real market pain points happened, and whether it's like a real pain points that like the users are gonna pay for it, and also the competition within the space, yeah. And I think like that's the product or the market itself, right? And the third one is definitely about the potential valuation exit as well, because at the end, I think the job of the investor, for sure, is to return the money to LP, and also like of course grow the startup together with founders, right? So at the end, like we really care about the round or the valuations, and also the potential exit strategy as well, and how to make sure that you exit the project smoothly, but at the same time not affecting the project, which is a huge art, and it's pretty tough to do it because when you try to lead the project, if you lead the pre-seed round, for example, you may potentially own like 5% or like 8% of a project, right? And once the project got listed, maybe some of your tokens got unlocked as well. So how do you make sure that when you try to exit some of your principal or some of your capital, but at the same time not dumping token as well? So this is also something that like we also care about the exit strategies and care about the valuations, the risk reward ratios. But yeah, that's in general the thesis. And
Oh,
yeah, one more point. Sorry, I missed it. Also the narrative as well. Yeah, the market narrative. Like what sectors are you in as well? Like it's definitely because I think narrative also makes a lot of sense when it comes to bull market. So I think um, in 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 bear market, I think fundamental or I would say business fundamental or technology fundamental is way more important than narrative. But in bull market right now, I think narrative is as important as like a business and technology fundamental. Yeah, because everyone try getting as some like premium or as like hype driven sentiment. So what narrative you are on, right? For example, recently I think definitely the Bitcoin ecosystem, the Coin Telegram ecosystem, given the Node coin, has driven like huge hype, right? And previously like base as well. So I think which narrative are you on would be also pretty would also be a huge topic to us because not a lot. I think some VCs they are sector agnostic, but also some VCs they like a sector focus as well. So we're also not sector agnostic. Like we rarely invest like NFT. We rarely invest gaming. We're also a little bit skeptical about like applications, or we're like not really bullish on pure DeFi as well. So yeah, sector wise and narrative wise, we are still leaning towards to BTC, AI, uh, DP, Telegram, Tron, CK. Yeah, so narrative is something that we want to work on because once you're in that narrative, so definitely there's like a huge like network effect, a huge network effect, and so that's something we really consider. Yeah.
oh wow. Okay, so now we know. So Luke, I hope you're going to come back to this podcast and be like, okay, this is exactly what it is. And see,
Yeah,
Sky, I've done all this shit. Now you have to write me a $100 million check, bro.
Yeah.
that's right. I'm
What
absolutely. But
project are you building on? What project are you working on? What narrative are you putting on, Duke?
yeah, so right now I haven't really actually started anything yet. I have a couple of things. I actually just finished my degree in blockchain digital currency, technically last week. But I have a couple
Wow.
of things that I have in mind. One of them's a kind of a DeFi project that I want to explore a little bit further. Now that I did it for school, but I want to see what I can do with that. But one of the things that really resonated with me with what you said was just really two big things. One is that person the right person to do it? Not necessarily is the idea good or not, but do they have the core competency to do the things that are going to make this happen? Was one that really stood out to me because I think sometimes somebody will have the great idea, but maybe they're not the one that's they're going to have to outsource all the things that make it actually happen. So I think that one stood out to me a lot with what you said. And then two is like what you said about is the blockchain necessary? Like, could you do it without the blockchain, or could you do it as effectively without it? And if so, are we just doing it for the novelty's sake? But those kind of really stood out to me with what you just shared.
Especially when we see a lot of AI projects, honestly, and also BTC projects as well. And because a lot of AI projects right now, if you look at the founders' background, they're actually not having strong conviction in AI. So
Mm-hmm.
we particularly want to see like if we invest in AI projects, we hope that the founders actually have a long history on the AI industry instead of like just pivoting or just like riding on the hype of AI and kind of pivoting the ideas into the AI sectors. So that's something that we really concern. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like product founder fit. I think, Luke, you might have to do something way more based because I think that the reality is knowing that you have such a huge hard on for cock, like in cock sense, the token, by the way, the AVAX meme token. I think that, that's probably where you should be at. I'm trying to convince him to come build on Doge. He's like, I don't know if I should come build on Doge, but I'm like, yo, you should come do it. I think it'd be wild. It'd be hilarious. It'd be hilarious to have Sky build a Dogecoin thesis. Come this next cycle, it'll be like, what the fuck? I never thought I would have a Dogecoin thesis, but these two retards made it happen. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see also, you mentioned the trilemma, right? You wrote this interesting article that I luckily had the chance that you shared with me like a little while back. It's a great article. And you discuss some of those challenges. You touched upon it earlier, right? But I was hoping that you could just unpack that a little bit. And what we can do is like in the show notes, we can put a link to that article so that people can actually go read it for themselves. But I'm curious to see like what inspired you to write it? Like what kind of feedback have you gotten? Like, can you discuss some of the challenges? Like, I would just love for you to just talk more on that because I feel like that's a very good overview of like the way you're thinking about this.
Yeah, I think first of all, the reason why I wrote this article is because there are a lot of people keep asking me like how to evaluate a fund investment, and I just feel like why not I'm writing down my thoughts and I can share with someone so that I don't have to repeat it again, right? That's number one. And number two, I feel like it's pretty rare to have. I mean, first of all, and then the second one is like it's pretty rare to have an LP to share what he thinks about fund investment because usually LPs are a little bit like behind the scene. They rarely comes out to go to conferences. They rarely comes out to do a podcast, right? So I feel like it's always good that to have someone that who is pretty rare and who can share his thoughts on particular sectors, right? And I think the third one is because everyone keeps talking about project investment, but no one's actually talking about fund investment. Like how do you do DD on the fund, right? And at the end of the day, I feel like this market is huge as well. If you look at honestly, when everyone's talking about project investment, they only care about project founders and VC, right? But actually, no one's really care about where the company comes from the VC, right? So like, if there's no LP behind VC, so VC couldn't invest in projects well. So I think there's also another dimension, right? So when we talk about like LP and GP relationship, and I think it's like a super interesting sector, and I think a lot of people are not really aware of it because most of the LP they are like institutional LP, so there are different types of LP, right? Definitely like institutional LP, like for example, like the biggest LP like pension fund, university fund, sovereignty fund, like Middle East, Singapore, Temasek. These are the government fund. These are the biggest fund for sure. And you also got some like financial institutions coming in, like BlackRock, Sequoia. These are also like they do fund of fund as well. The financial institutions or like listed company, right? Listed company that they also deploy some capital as well. And then it goes to the family office as well. So family office, like single family office, multi-family office, they also deploy into fund. And then at the end, it goes to like other VCs or other exchange VCs that they want to get some strategic relationship, even like market makers, exchange, they also sometimes invest in fund because they want deal flow. They want projects to get listed on the exchange. They want projects to use the marketing the market making as a service. So I feel like it's a pretty interesting phenomenon. So just try to write down and share my thoughts on how can you find the best fund out of like 200 funds in the world. Yeah.
Did you have from writing that article, did you have like a lot of, like, did you get actually deal flow from that? Did you find other funds reaching out to you and you'd be like, holy shit, like you're actually one of the first people that's actually written this shit and documented it. And, you know, there's a face behind this anon kind of perspective of who's an LP. Like, and you have basically been like, hey, I'm one of those guys, come talk to me. Like, have you had an opportunity to catch a lot of like good deal flow in VCs as a result of it?
Interestingly not. Yeah, because honestly, the LP GP circle is pretty narrow. It's pretty niche. So once you're active on the LP circle, like people are gonna share fun deal flow with you, and honestly, like there's not a lot of funds out there. I think there are around like 200 funds in the space, and I think I think so far I've talked to like around more than 100 funds so far. So I think in terms of the fund deal flow, it isn't that rare or scarce resources compared to like project deal flow. So yeah, so at the end of the day, I feel like it's more like just for consulting my thoughts, and also I try to educate the people more about like the investment behind the fund investment. Yeah.
Oh, so really, it seems like your struggle is that I was thinking that it was actually kind of like a pyramid where there's only very few LPs and that there's very few funds and then there's like lots of projects. But what you're saying is that, dude, it's actually an inverted pyramid. That is, there is LPs and it is kind of low, but still like there's the funds that we want to allocate to, it's actually small, and the number of projects that are actually worthwhile of allocating from our capital, from an LP to a fund to this project, is in fact what's really low.
Yeah, but like I will try to put it on another dimensions. So I feels like for example, comparing the fund investment and project investment, um, the project founders want to pitch project founders want to pitch GP, right? It's way more than the GP want to pitch project founders, right? So
Yeah.
it's same as LP GP relationship. Actually, the GP wants to pitch LP instead of like the LP wants to reach out to GP. So that's the reason but I think the GP and the project founders dimensions are pretty like competitive because there are a lot of like VCs. They try like getting the right deal, getting a good deal, so they always want to like getting better deal flow, better deal flow. And also about the projects also more decentralized as well. I think they are more like maybe like more than like 5,000 projects out there raising, so it's pretty decentralized and it's pretty like in silo, pretty like scattered. So that's why they really want to get like better deal flows, the GP fund, right? But like, as LP, I feels like first of all the fund isn't that the fund scenario, the fund landscape isn't that in silos. I think there are only like 200, 300 funds out there. It's also relatively easy to reach out as well. The people are also like in the same circle, yeah. But yeah, so I feels like it's fun. It's fun that like we can do both fund investment but also direct investment as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was curious to see, like you mentioned this interesting thing about exit strategy, right? In fact, that was one of the questions you asked us. And, when we were having talks with like VCs and funds, like they were asking us like, what's your exit strategy like, right? I'm curious to see, like, do you have a game plan or a good example in crypto that is like, hey, these guys have successfully created that exit strategy and like, or a handover strategy, at least between the founders to the next executive team that's basically going to be running it. Is there something that like you have seen that you're like, hey, like if you're at that stage of like trying to look for the next thing, this is how you should go about doing this? Do you have an example there?
Um. Yeah, I feels like honestly there are a couple of there are different types of products, right? The first type of projects they are more like equity driven, like cash flow positive. It means that like they don't need to print token in order to make them sustainable, right? So in terms of the first type of project, then the common way for getting exit is like either you go IPO, or you go like M&A, or you sell the old or your existing shares to new investors, right? Um, Usually these type of companies are more sustainable, and they can keep running it for like 10 years. If they are doing like more like, for example, like custodian solutions, they're more like a payment driven solutions, or they're like wallet, for example. So these are more sustainable, yeah. So if we're the investors, then we need to make sure that we have the possible methods to get exit, like through M&A, IPO, or like or transferring the old shares, right? And the other side, then it's like token deal, right? If you understand that it's gonna launch token, then we want to know like when it's gonna be a TGE, or how long it's investing, and what's the plan after TGE as well. Because a lot of projects or founders they don't have a plan after TGE. What they have, whatever they have on their mind, just like pre TGE, they just want to get list on the exchange. Once they get list on the exchange, they feel like it's the end of the game, right? But we saw a lot of companies actually keep sustaining by selling the tokens through OTC. Like a lot of projects, like if you know a lot of good projects, like a lot of DP projects, a lot of like L1 projects, even Tron as well, right? Telegram, they sell, I think Pantera bought a lot of like Tron tokens through OTC. Yeah, so I think that's the common way that how the product can go sustainable. Yeah, and as long as the product goes sustainable, as an investors, then you always have a chance to get exit. Yeah.
Interesting. I guess like one of the last questions I have in that section is that what do you think is the next big traditional finance thing? I guess this is another Luke transition question. It's like, because he, I really feel like everyone should make the entrepreneurial journey at least once, and like you got to do it. If there's no perfect time to do it. But my question then would be like, from TradFi, what have you seen in TradFi that you think hasn't been yet done on crypto rails, and is like, holy shit, like this could work. This would really be a successful. Is it an instrument or some kind of model or some kind of network effect kind of product that would be there? What do you think that would be? Give us your alpha on that secret product.
That's a good question. I think like two areas, right? I think the first one is RWA. The second one is payment. Okay, I first go with like RWA. I think right now, if you know the rationale behind the RWA is actually they want to increase the liquidity, or they want to increase the efficiency of this particular asset transaction, right? So I feel like actually a lot of products that a lot of like for example insurance product, borrow lending product, fintech company, Web2 fintech companies, they're actually really sustainable, and actually they're making like 20% per year, right? Something similar to like Maple Finance or like Centric or or different this kind of like borrow lending company, right? So I think like if in case we can package it those like kind of like a real asset, or package some profit making investment strategies into like a token, and then you can have you can do like a borrow lending, or you can package it as a stable coin. Yeah, it's like what Ethereum has been doing, for example, right? A lot of people you can just do it like super something like I think like for example Circle or like Tether, right? Tether is like the most simple RWA project that I've ever seen. Like because basically they just use a token to buy bonds,
T-bills.
right?
Yeah,
T-bills, right?
basically.
Yeah. So you can call it a stablecoin company, and I feel like it's also like an RWA company as well, because they put T-bills on chain, and they issue stablecoins, right? So I just feel like the underlying asset could be way different. For example, like recently I come across a project. They kind of like a Web2 fintech company. They have a really sustainable like a 20% APY yield by doing like borrow lending, by doing refinancing, by doing like buy now pay later business model. So they just package the entire business into like a real world asset package, and then issue a token, issue like a yield bearing stablecoin. So if I put money in, I'll get stablecoin, but I also got a yield that generated behind that business, because I kind of like lend out the money to them. Yeah. So this is something that I think the real asset definitely like could provide additional value to TradFi companies, right, or industries. And I think the second one is definitely payment, because if you ask me like the killer use case of crypto, I think right now is still either payment, right? Payment for sure is the killer use case. Like if you look at the white paper, like but the Bitcoin white paper 101, right? So Bitcoin is like a P2P payment ecosystem, right? So, but why payment hasn't gone thrive or hasn't gone robust yet? So just like I think the easiest use case is definitely the remittance, right? The cross-border remittance. I don't understand like why people like if you're coming from like a third developing countries, if you work in, for example, some developed countries, if you want to wire the money that you have, the salary that you have to back your hometown, right now the agencies take like 10%, 15%, and it takes 2 days to arrive at your hometown at their own currencies. So I think definitely like crypto is gonna solve this sector for sure. So, but I think given a lot of like regulations, given a lot of like on-off ramp issues, that I think this kind of like use case haven't been really being adopted or popular. But I hope that like with the crypto friendly regulations coming very soon, so this payments use case or narrative could be like kind of reopened again, and people and founders can go in to work on this kind of like thesis again. Yeah.
So in a way, is it safe to say that you're looking for regulatory clarity, right? Because like payments is like one of those things like where, like you say, it's like a holy grail for like crypto, right? And you want it to be not in like established markets like America or, like in the UK or Europe. You want it to be in places like in the MENA region or South Asia or East Asia, right? or you're talking about Africa, where these payment rails can just be what's like, it's like how people grew up in the generation of like raising laptops, and it's like, no, these people are using mobile phones, and then they've skipped that whole laptop generation. The question is, will crypto be the payment rails for this next generation that's, jumps traditional banking? In this case, you're saying that, like, dude, regulatory clarity in these markets is the best thing to make this happen. Is that what you're pushing for?
Yeah, I think honestly, if you look at the sentiment or the stimulus of this bull market, right? I think the first one is definitely ETF, the institutional ETF, and I can only say that the second reason for this bull market coming in is definitely like the more like crypto friendly regulations, because without it, basically, it's super hard to do on off ramp. I think on off ramp is something that like no matter you're investors, project founders, retail investors are always got frustrated, and no matter like you give tax or how do you get off ramp on off ramp like smoothly, right? Sometimes it's not a matter of like I don't want to pay tax. It's a matter of like how do I get off ramp safely, and sometimes the bank will like will kind of put a red flag if you like off ramp, right? So I think it's definitely something that, and even like as a if you know as a project or as a fund, it's also pretty hard to get like a US bank account as well, USD bank account. Because like some of them like do like offshore Cayman registrations. So if you want to even set up like a crypto friendly bank account, it's also pretty tough as well. So I think definitely that's like for sure the more like crypto friendly regulations is like definitely the stimulus of the coming bull market, and then another one is like definitely lower interest rate. Yeah. So I assume that like if for example, if I think if Donald Trump's gonna elected, maybe I think he's definitely gonna push some like crypto friendly regulations or framework. Yeah, they're gonna pump the market. Yeah.
So are you saying that you're gonna move to America from Canada just to vote for Donald Trump and then basically help usher in the crypto wave for this next generation? Is that what's gonna happen, Sky?
Yeah. I mean, finger crossed, finger crossed. Yeah, but I think honestly, like, I think if you look at this cycle, I just feel that this bull cycle like hasn't arrived yet. Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah, because if you compare the last bull market cycle, it was way crazier. A lot of people are saying that there's no retail coming in. It's definitely true. But if you look at the last bull market cycle, what's the stimulus of the last bull market cycle? What triggers them, right? Basically, it's definitely like the first one, like of course, like money printing, right? But the second one is about, first of all, like the richest person in the world, like Elon Musk, buying Doge, keep shooting Doge. That's crazy, right? The richest person in the world, shilling blockchain and crypto, right? And also the biggest company in the world change name in become Metaverse and NFT, right? Facebook. So if we need to compare what kind of factors can as significant as what we had 3 years ago to kind of the trigger or to pump the market to become the true bull market, I feel like definitely we should lower interest rate, and definitely the U.S. government has to do something so that it change how the TradFi, it change how the regulation framework fundamentally think about crypto. Yeah.
Wow. I gotta ask the question then, like, what do you see J17 in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, I mean,
Oh wow.
outside of your voting, I mean, guessing like basically you've charted it. You're gonna move here. You're gonna vote for Donald Trump. You're gonna move to Texas. Firstly, right? That's what's gonna happen. What's the next thing for the next 5 years after all that?
Wow. I think definitely we want to be like a tier one crypto VC firm for sure. I think we want to become like um I would say a mix of like okay. I think we want to become like how to say, well, it's a good question actually. I've never think about it like 10 years. 10 years.
A long time. But think about it.
Mm,
That's what a fund is, right? It's a 10 and 2
yeah.
or a 10 and 3. What is
Yeah.
your vision for the next 10 years on a fund of funds level?
Definitely we want to be like a tier one VC fund, right? For sure. And we want to like definitely provide huge value add to the portfolio founders. We want to grow together with the founders, product founders from 0 to 1. We want to like take lead on a lot of deals so that we can continuously leading and supporting the projects from scratch from day one to the IPO or to the TGG to the entire project's lifetime, right? And also we definitely want to build the research arm as well, like strengthen our research arm, because I think research is something that whoever have a stronger research team and stronger research thesis, who are gonna be like who have high chance to win over the market. Because if you look at a lot of like top tier firms like AT&T, Paradigms, they always drive the narrative, right? They wrote articles, they wrote research paper, they build the narrative themselves. So whoever can build the narrative, who wins over the market, because you can always invest first, and then you build a narrative, and then you keep saying that, our portfolios belongs to this narrative, so they're gonna pump, right? So I think definitely like research and narrative building, branding, portfolio support, and of course like is a good DPI financial return is something that we will expect in the coming 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. I know we're running up on time here, but like I gotta ask just a couple of other questions, right? One, what's the success story at J17 that you're like, dude, I'm very proud of this company or this founder that helped grow? You know, like originally your thesis from the very beginning is outlined as like, I don't make bets on companies, I make bets on founders and narratives, right? Like if the founder is successful and they have what it takes, they can move to the new narrative and be successful. Who is one person that you can be like, yo, we backed this person, this or this company, and it was really successful?
You mean one person?
Well, like, you know, a success story. It doesn't have to be a person, but like, I'm just taking it because like, it seems like you make a founder bet or founding team bet, right? Who is that founding team bet that you're like, these guys or these girls killed it?
Oh, you mean which project or which fund, right?
Sure.
I think it's like we invest together with Hack VC. So it feels like Hack VC is gonna be like the rock star, although they are already a rock star in the space. But we see like they are gonna be like definitely they're gonna like be the tier 1.1, yeah, the top VC firm in the coming like few years. And but we are very happy to like to support them since like day one, and also strategically working with them together. So because of the team, because of the resources they have, because of how active they are in the space, and we can also see how intelligent they are as well. So if you need me to like name a person or company, I'll try to name them. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So they're your favorite. Your second favorite, I guess, is maybe like Hasib and Dragonfly, and then the third would be maybe Mark and the A16. You'll be like, yeah, okay. Hack is your favorite.
No, Ash is the second best.
Oh,
I love it.
yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's really interesting to see what it is because like you're betting on these teams, right? And it's like, it's an awkward question, but like everyone knows we all have, like, I think that based on this, I feel like this action or this team did the best thing. It's just a curious thing to just ask. So I appreciate you sharing that, you know. It's an awkward question though, but thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, but of course, I mean, like, as an investor, like everyone wants, I mean, ultimate goal of an investor is like you want to invest a company like who end up being like a hackathon. I'm a hackathon, sorry, like it's like a unicorn or decathlon, right? It's like a unicorn or like even like 10 billion worth. Like you want to do that, right? That's the first goal, right? You want to invest a company that having like becoming a unicorn, right? And the second goal is that you want to invest a company from day one that will end up becoming or lead the round from day one to become the unicorn, right? So I think it's a step-by-step journey. Like we have seen a huge potential that a lot of deals that invest by us who can end up becoming a unicorn. We can see a lot of like potential deals, actually potential portfolios, and we want to be like more aggressive and proactive. We want to be like shall we support them like from day one next time? I think we should, yeah. And we want to support like serial entrepreneurs as well, serial founders that like has been proven the success or like we have witnessed the entire like entrepreneur journey from day one. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I'm really interested in too is like you mentioned earlier, you talked with 100 different founders recently, and there's all like crypto and AI are such a fast moving space in general. Like, how do you stay like aware of all the stuff going on, not only with the companies you're working with, but just the industry as a whole? Like anything that you would share that just kind of helps you to absorb it all, process it, and, you know, make decisions from it?
I think it's like three things, right? Definitely the first one is Twitter. I think Twitter is always like the easiest and the best way to get access to the social sentiment, people are thinking about. Even like the top person, the most influential person in the crypto space will also like publish content in Twitter, right?
Yep.
It's a pretty like a fair game. It's like a really transparent and a fair like information resources, right? Yeah. And I think the second one is about like some more proprietary sources when you like talk to funds, when you talk to founders. Good founders always refer good founders, right? And good fund managers always refer good founders as well. So these are also like by talking to good founders, good fund managers, you also like get to understand more about the industries, what's happening, right? And then the third one is definitely like the research capabilities, right? You try to like build your own investment thesis before everyone comes in. Yeah.
Yep.
You don't want to like spread and spray. You don't want to you don't want to do like when you invest one project in BTC, invest one in EVM, invest one in like ZK without a plan, right? So definitely like how to make a plan. Before making a plan, you definitely need to have like a comprehensive and holistic and in-depth understanding on each sectors and what's the pros and cons and what's the potential upside, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. So I think by having like a continuous like research capabilities on understanding what's the latest trend of this market, so that you can plan ahead to saying that okay, I want to keep track of restaking industry, for example. So whatever,
Yep.
like for example, so when you have already done like a huge research or strong research in, for example, restaking. So whatever project when it comes in restaking, no matter it's like a Ethereum restaking, Bitcoin restaking, or Solana restaking projects, you can just comprehend it like in 1 minute, like super fast, right? Because you understand what works, what doesn't work, what is the market, what's the pain point, what's the gap, right? So I think the research is also something that definitely we have been doing closely. And the fourth one is like one more point. Sorry, the fourth one is you can only try it. Yeah, you can only like try it. You can only like you only know it by trying it, right? So sometimes I know a lot of investors, I know a lot of researchers. They will research, they will read white paper, they read articles, but sometimes like not a lot of investors actually do on-chain activities. They trade sometimes, right? They trade BTC, they trade coins through exchange, right? But if you ask how many VCs or how many investors are actually like doing on-chain farming, doing on-chain staking, doing like ordinal trade swaps, not a lot actually. So I feel like definitely you need to like immerse in that experience by trading your own money, right? By having skin in the game. So I was trying to suggest like I think fourth one is like you need to you do it yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the easiest way to keep track on the market. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, there's nothing like being hands-on with things to really know how it works, like know what it's like to be, a part of it and that type of thing. And one of the things that kind of stood out to me as well with you mentioned about using Twitter for that. I think one of the like just community sentiment or what's going on in the space is good. One of the things I've recently started to do along those lines is using Grok for that, because sometimes the algorithm doesn't give you what you want. And so if I just put a query in like what's going on in the restaking space over the last couple of days, Grok will like feed me like here's the gist of what's happening. Here's a link to a couple of posts that relate to it. So that's been one that's been a little bit helpful for me.
GROCK. How do you spell?
Yeah, GROCK.
Grok.
So it's
Grok.
built within Twitter. It's Elon's like AI that they have. So if you subscribe to Premium
Oh,
Plus, it'll actually give you access to it, and it uses real timeline stuff. So it's AI built right within that, which is pretty cool.
oh, impressive. Thank you. I'll try it. Haha.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but dude, this was fun. Next time we need to do this with Hack VC. We should have them on here, and we should do it in real life, like and have beers and something like that. That would be kind of like really fun because it would be great to get that GP LP relationship dynamic captured in real time, and also have a few beers while doing it. Right.
For
Also
sure.
get a lot of like other people from ATX DAO and all of our listeners who are wanting to either, who are running funds and want to look for an LP, reach out to Sky, which would be kind of dope. But also like raising funds for a project, come to reach out to you or Hack or anyone else that's out there would be good to do that. That being said, like, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Like Twitter, Telegram, Facebook? Like, what is
Yeah. On Telegram is definitely the best, and Twitter as well, or like LinkedIn as well. Yeah, it's like for
perfect?
sure the best.
Yeah, we're gonna be posting those links at the end, so that way anyone
Yes.
can reach out to you, man. But like, dude, this was good. A lot of signal. And it's really great to like get this insight into this. Thank you.
Awesome. Like, thank you so much. Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Guy.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the ATX DAO podcast. If you like what you heard, please rate, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends and colleagues. To learn more about ATX DAO, visit us at atxdao.com and follow us on X, Farcaster, and LinkedIn at ATX DAO. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.